Good morning, dear students. In the previous class, we have discussed how to cultivate our speech. How to cultivate our speech. Today, I would like to deal with the factors that impress a person's speech. The factors that impress a person's speech. The first factor is mannerism. Mannerisms. What are the mannerisms? The way of behaving. What is the manner, the way of behaving towards others? Our behavior towards others. That is mannerism. The speaker should have a pleasant disposition and a neat appearance. This is the first point under the subtitle mannerism. The speaker should have a pleasant disposition and a neat appearance. We should be neat as well as our disposition should be pleasant. What is disposition? Characteristic. Our characteristic, unique characteristic, should be pleasant. And the second point, decent and modest dressing. Decent and modest dressing makes a lasting impression on the audience. Decent and modest dress is important. Our dress should be decent and modest. It should not be too luxurious. At the same time, it should not be too low or like a beggar. Okay. It doesn't mean that beggar are less important. They are also important, but their appearance is different. So decent and modern dressing makes a lasting impression or a permanent impression on the audience, right? When we wear such a decent and modest dress, surely it will impress the audience. That impression will be lasting. Then, so while speaking, another point, while speaking, we should address the whole gathering, but not a particular section of the audience, Okay, when we speak, we should address the whole gathering, but not a particular section of audience. Okay, all the audience, we should treat all the audience equally, and we should consider all the audience. We should give enough prominence to all audience. We should address the whole gathering, but not a particular section of the audience. Okay. In the classroom, teachers should address both the boys and girls, both the front benchers and back benchers. Right? He should not have a particular address. So he should not be, another point, he should not be nervous and confused. While speaking, one should not be nervous and confused. When we are confused, if we do not have clear knowledge on that particular topic, then we may be confused. That's why we should not be too nervous. We should not be nervous and confused. Care should be taken not to indulge in unwanted mannerisms in speech or behavior. Care should be taken not to indulge in unwanted mannerisms in speech or behavior. In our speech or behavior, we should not indulge any unwanted mannerisms. That's why we should take care of the mannerisms we exhibit at that time. And some people may use some pauses, filters, fillers, That's why the frequent utterances of fillers, of yeah, uh, so, well, okay. Likewise, these are all, and sometimes we may give lengthy pauses also. These are all makes our speech lower of its quality. Make our speech lower of its quality. Hence, we should avoid such fillers, gap fillers. Of course, now and then we use, but frequent use is exhibited. Prohibited. Frequent use of these fillers is prohibited. And the speaker should face the audience. The speaker should face the audience and make an eye contact with them. Okay, the speaker should face the audience and he should maintain eye contact with the audience. Okay, if the audience are in this way, if the speaker turns like this all the time, if he turns to this place and speaks something, then it seems weak. It is not pleasant. It is not pleasant, right? So, this is mannerism. Okay, eye contact should be maintained. The speaker should not look at the roof, should not look at the floor and walls or to the horizons, while horizons in the sense outside duties, okay, or other sides, while making a speech. This is mannerisms. Another point is planning. Another factor is planning. One must plan carefully his speech before actual presentation. One must plan his speech carefully before actual presentation. Okay. He must see that there is a proper beginning. Even in that plan, there should be proper beginning. There should be proper beginning, proper middle, and end of the speech. There should be a proper beginning, middle, and end of the speech. That is good plan. When one starts his speech, he must see that it is interesting and curious to the audience. When somebody starts the speech, he must see that whether that information or that material or that content what he is going to present to the audience is interesting or not, whether it is curious or not. That's why we should plan carefully and we should check that whether it is, we should check whether it is curious or interesting or not. He can start his speech with a good proverb. The speaker can start his speech with a good proverb or quotation or a family concept. Okay. So, if you want to begin a speech, better begin with a proverb, a good proverb, or a good quotation, or a small pen, or a few lines from the pen, right? So another point is that when he starts his actual speech, he should always start honoring, and addressing the or dignitaries, dignitaries, or other guests on the days, and the organizers and the audience. It is mandatory. It is mandatory to address the audience. Before that, when one starts his speech, first he should address. He should honor and address the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. Right? So even we have to respect organizers and the owners. Though lost, they are not least. Audience, though lost, they are not least. After addressing and after honoring the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, we should move to give a brief introduction of our speech. It is better to give a brief introduction of our speech. When you want to speak, when you want to give some speech, it is better all the time check. It is better all the time to present a brief introduction about your speech, and briefly you can present after creating interest with his brief introduction. The speaker must gradually build the rest of the speech. The speaker must gradually build the rest of the speech, which consists of the main message. The rest of the speech that should consist of the main speech. Okay, in such a way, one has to plan. Okay, planning is a factor that impress your speech. And the third one, language and voice. Language and voice. The speaker must use correct pronunciation and accent with style. Accent with style. He must impress the listeners. He must impress the audience. Okay, there should be a proper style. There should be a correct pronunciation in your speech. You should be able to cultivate the correct pronunciation. Okay, when you use the correct pronunciation, the message may be sent properly, or else it may be in dilemma, or else your speech may be baffled. There may be a bafflement in your speech, right? So, to give prominence to certain statements, make it more and to make it more meaningful. Okay, to give prominence to certain statements and make it more meaningful, we have to use proper intonation. We have to use proper stress. Okay, so using of this proper intonation and proper stress is okay, important. Okay, so this is the part of language. And we must speak with the intelligible language. We must speak with the intelligible language. Intelligible, that is understandable. Okay, understandable. When we read, when we hear such words, it should be understandable. W.B. Yeats, he said one thing: think like a wise, Think like a wise man. Think like a wise man, but communicate in the language of the people. However, you may be a wise man, however, you may be a philosophical man, you think in philosophical way, okay? But you can think as a wise man, but you must communicate it in the language of the people. You must communicate in the language of the people, right? So, change in the tone attracts the attention of the audience. Okay, our tone should not be monotone. Okay, we should not maintain the monotone throughout our speech. We should change the tone. That change of the tone in a with a proper intonation surely attract the attention of the audience. Surely attracts the attention of the audience. Okay, the speaker should use proper modulations while delivering speech. The speaker should use proper modulations while delivering the speech. So, one should speak at a normal speed. This is also important. One should speak at a normal speed. It should not be very fast and it should not be very low. It should not be very fast and it should not be very low. Right? So, emotions such as shedding tears, shaking voice, shouting at the pitch of his voice, laughing loudly at his own jokes must be avoided as far as possible. Emotions, expression of emotions while giving speech should be avoided. We should not shed the tears. We should not shake our voice. We should not have shaken voice. We should not shout at the pitch of our voice. And we should not laugh at our own joke. Some people, they used to play jokes and they used to laugh. Right? Anyhow, these all the points must be avoided as far as possible while speaking. Speak to the audience fluently. Speak to the audience fluently. Never read out the speech. Never read out the speech. Speak to the audience fluently. And there should be a brief pauses in between. There should be brief pauses in between our speech. Right? And the next one, quotations and anecdotes. Quotations and anecdotes. To make our speech effective, we must use quotations and anecdotes. Quotations of the great people and which may suit to the situation, which may suit the situation. Okay, that may be in the form of, those quotations may be in the form of a statement, or those anecdotes, or those quotations we can use. Okay, these quotations may include a statement or a poem or a song. It may be included. And now and then, the person should use some illustrations and anecdotes in his speech to avoid monotony. Anecdote, narrating some incidents. For example, train journey of Mahatma Gandhi from in South Africa, right? So, likewise, we can illustrate some anecdotes and we can give some illustrations to make our speech effective. Next one is wit and humor. Wit and humor. In order to make our speech effective and more impressive, it is better to make use of wit and humor while speaking. Even it is necessary to make use of wit and humor in our speech. The speech need not always be serious. The speech need not always be serious. Some humor also be presented. Okay, even we can present in a humorous way. In order to keep the audience attentive and in good manner, good mood, wit and humor is essential. In order to keep the audience attractive, attentive, and in good mood, it is better to use wit and humor. Moreover, it is essential. It provides relaxation and refreshment. Okay, it is a refreshment. It refreshes. Yeah, it provides relaxation. Okay, wit and humor provides relaxation and a refreshing pass to the audience. One should not make cheap jokes and vulgar jokes in the name of humor. One should not make cheap and vulgar jokes in the name of humor. Right? The anecdotes or wisecracks must be informative and decent. The anecdotes and wisecracks must be informative and decent. Then it will help us to make our speech effective. Okay, another one, time management. This is also important. Time management, it is also important. To make his speech effective, one should always maintain the time. To make our speech effective, we should always maintain the proper time. Okay, timely concluded and timely started speech is more effective, right? So he should not exceed the given time. Okay, 1 or 2 minutes except excusable. But all the time it is better to conclude within the time or at least on the time. Okay, he should adjust the time of his speech according to the reactions and pulse of the audience. The speaker should be able to adjust his speech according to the reactions and pulses of the audience. If you are good at molding the speaker audience, then we can keep 1 hour, 2 hours, 1.5 hours, whatever it may be, we may need or we can afford. Okay, that is in our hand. There is the time management, importance of the time management, and how this time management may influence. That is one factor. The last one, be a good listener and a good reader. Okay, some people when they learn some English, when they learn newly the language, they may be very enthusiastic to give speeches, but it is always suggestible that first you should be a good listener and you should be a good reader. Okay, in order to improve one's speech, make it more effective, in order to improve our speech and make it more effective, we must attend various lectures, speeches, and listen to the several speakers. We must attend various lectures and speeches and conferences and symposiums. And you listen to the several speakers so that you can know how to speak, so that you can know how to make your speech effective. Right? Any person can be a good speaker if he is a good reader of books, newspapers, editorials, journals, magazines. Any person can be a good speaker. Any person can be a good speaker if he is a good reader of books, if he is a good reader of the books, newspapers, magazines, editorials, and journals. Then from these sources, he may know, he can understand how to express something, how to use effective language. how to make effective sentences in our speech in such a way the 7 factors will impress the audience. With the 7 factors in our speech, we can impress the audience. The 7 factors may influence. That's why we should make use of the 7 factors in a proper way so that we can succeed in our speech. Yes, students. Okay, with this, I would like to wind up this today's class, and tomorrow we shall move to discuss a reading skill. Okay, up to now we have discussed speaking skill. Tomorrow we shall move to reading skill. Thank you, one and all, for patient question.